Kentucky Senator Rand Paul. Senator, there's two issues here. One, the quid pro quo, and an issue that I know you have been critical of, and that is why accept tens and tens of millions of dollars from countries with atrocious human rights records, especially on women's rights, gays and lesbians, etc., without being critical of these countries.
Well, we have rules that we specifically have written into the law to try to prevent foreigners from influencing our elections. So it's actually illegal for anybody to take a contribution for your election from anybody from a foreign country. Now, these aren't contributions to our campaign, but the question is, do they kind of act like the same thing as a contribution? Are they expecting something in return? And yes, I've been very, very loud about the fact that not only should they not take money from Saudi Arabia and these other countries, they should give it back. I mean, there was a young woman in Saudi Arabia that was raped by 7 men, and then she was arrested for being in a car with an unmarried man. She was given 90 lashes, 6 months in prison. You know, this is the kind of country you should shun or rebuke, but you certainly shouldn't be taking contributions from them.
And I can't find public statements by Hillary Clinton critical of the country, but they did take tens of millions of dollars from Saudi Arabia. I want to get back to that in a minute. Let me go to the New York Times, writing about Peter Schweizer's book, claiming that you have been briefed on it specifically, and they say that foreign entities made payments to the Clinton Foundation and through Mr. Clinton through high speaking fees, and they received favors from Mrs. Clinton's State Department in return. In other words, we see a pattern of financial transactions involving the Clintons that occurred contemporaneous with favorable U.S. policy decisions benefiting those providing the funds. Your reaction to that? That is the definition of pay to play, quid pro quo, is it not? Buying access.
I've been briefed by Peter Schweitzer on this book, and the facts are going to be alarming. They're going to be mind-boggling, and I think people are going to read this book and they're going to say, my goodness, this is happening in America. How can this happen in America? And it's detail after detail after detail. I promise not to reveal all the details because it's not my book, but I think people are going to be blown away by the details in this book and how they link the Clintons into this enormous exchange of money from foreign countries, from donors to companies, and then it's all swirling around. And I don't think it would happen if you didn't have somebody who was a Secretary of State and a former president. And they seem to be capitalizing on their service in government, and it sure doesn't remind me of Harry Truman at all. It reminds me of people using the system to enrich themselves, and I think it looks unseemly, and I think a lot of Americans are going to agree with me.
He mentioned the New York Times mentioned three specific transactions. One, in Colombia, free trade agreement that benefited a major donor to the foundation. The second case, development of projects in the aftermath of the Haitian earthquake. And the third one is $1 million in payments to Mr. Clinton by a Canadian bank, major shareholder in the Keystone XL pipeline. Do you think, as you read these allegations and whatever you've been briefed on, that there's a possibility that laws may have been broken?
I think there's going to be some real questions because there are certain transactions that the Secretary of State does oversee. And I'm not going to be able to get into the details tonight until the book comes out. All I can say is that the Secretary of State has to oversee some transactions, and the real question is, was there money that influenced these transactions directly or indirectly? Is there the appearance of impropriety at the very least? And I think that's what voters are going to have to look at and wonder, can we trust someone to be the President of the United States who's involved with so much money changing hands from foreign countries, foreign entities? And even now, they say they're not going to take it from foreign countries anymore, but they're still going to take it from wealthy people who live in the foreign countries. It's hard to separate people out in some of these countries.
All right, let me put up on the screen to let people know exactly what we're talking about. This book will go into the quid pro quo aspect of it. But the allegations both of us have been very outspoken about. You look at the countries in the history here. We have a list of the gender gap rankings in the countries. Those 7 countries there where she took money from. Some of the worst rankings in the entire world. For example, to go to Saudi Arabia. She took tens of millions of dollars from a country where women can't drive and women need a male relative to be seen in public. If you look at Kuwait, for example, and women don't have the right to become prosecutors or judges. No laws prohibiting domestic violence. We go through the UAE and Oman and Qatar and Algeria, Brunei, and all of these countries. And I cannot find a public statement, Senator, where she has condemned any of the treatment of women in these countries, but yet she's running as, isn't it time for a woman to be president? Is that hypocritical?
Or what? Well, I think it's going to destroy her message, because I think it's going to be hard for her to go around saying she's going to be a champion of women's rights when she's taking money from countries that abuse women's rights. In Brunei, for example, the punishment for adultery is death by stoning.
For women.
For women. Only. Women don't get to complain because women are not voters and women don't sit on juries. And it takes 2 women to equal the testimony of 1 man in most of these countries. So, yeah, I don't know how she's going to explain this in any possible way. She was making $300,000 an hour giving speeches. All of her husband's speeches seemed to increase in the value. He gave 13 speeches worth $500,000 a speech when she became Secretary of State. And apparently, this will be revealed in the book and was in the New York Times today, that before she was Secretary of State, apparently Bill Clinton's speaking fees weren't quite what they were once she became Secretary of State.
Well, maybe she can answer the question. There's been a lot of commentary about the fact that you did a full hour the day that you announced. I asked you every question I could possibly think of, Senator, from Iran, your position on abortion, how you'd fix the economy, defense. Maybe she can answer a few questions. That would be a good start.
Good idea.
Paul, thank you for being with us.
We'll say thanks.
Now, Senator Paul is just one candidate in the growing GOP 2016 field. Supporters of another potential Republican challenger for the White House released this video earlier today. Let's take a look
and watch this. Hi, I'm John Kasich, and I believe it's time for a new day for America. It's time to put aside the petty differences that divide us and rediscover the values that we all share, which have made America great. Values like personal responsibility, community, respect, courage, and, of course, faith.
All right, so does that mean Governor Kasich of Ohio is running for president? Here to answer that question, the man himself, Ohio Governor John Kasich. Governor,
welcome. How are you?
I'm good. I got a guy in studio here that wants to know if you're running, Governor. That sounds like a winner, haven't you?
He's been asking me this for 20 years when I saw him the other day.
No,
I'm
not that guy.
Friend of mine, Ohio.
Yeah. I'm not a candidate at this point, but obviously this is a step forward to make sure that I can continue to travel. You may not know, I was in South Carolina on Friday and Saturday. Then Saturday I jetted back up to New Hampshire and was up there. And this is going to allow me to be able to put the resources together to continue in travel. And as to whether I'm going to be a candidate, that's yet to be decided. It's a little bit further down the road, but this certainly gives me a chance to get out and be even more robust than I've been.
I think you'd have a pretty good message to deliver, and that is that you were the head of the House Budget Committee the last time we actually got to a balanced budget, and you were very strong in insisting using real numbers, not artificial numbers.
Correct.
And what you did in Ohio, how much was your budget deficit when you took office?
$8 billion.
$8
billion.
Wow.
Which is about 20%. Well, we're almost a $2 billion surplus now.
All right, $10 billion.
$10 billion,
right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How many jobs did you create since you've been governor?
We're up about 340,000 after being down about 350,000 private sector jobs.
Okay. Then the only thing that I read about you that's negative is your support for Common Core. Do you support Common Core?
Sean, what I support is this. I want high standards for our kids, which we have in Ohio, and the curriculum to meet those high standards is set by local school boards with parental advisors. I don't decide it. Obama doesn't decide it. It's decided by local communities. So I think we all want high standards, and we want local control, and we have that in Ohio.
What do you think of what we're discussing tonight about Hillary Clinton? This new book that's coming out, the Clinton Foundation taking money from countries that have atrocious rights as it relates to women and other minorities. In Saudi Arabia, you can't build a Christian church. She's taken up to $25 million for her foundation from there. Bad decision.
Well, Sean, these are very disturbing allegations, and they're out there, and she's going to have to respond to them. But I want to point out to you that we have been cozy with Saudi Arabia for way too long. And I don't mean just the way they treat women there, which to me is absolutely ridiculous, that a woman can't drive a car just to begin with. But let me also tell you that the support with the Saudis for a lot of these extremist groups, some of these terrorist groups, is totally unacceptable. And I think we've had a number of administrations that frankly have looked the other way. It may have been because we were depending on oil or whatever, but to just look the other way when they are funding some of these radicals out there that are intent on harming America, let alone the human rights violations, and to have not really said anything, Sean, is really wrong. And I just think we need to be stronger with them and a lot of our friends.
They have played both sides to the middle for years. For years. Very duplicitous.
It's time to call them on it, Sean, because you know what? What they're doing is they're not only supporting groups that are hurting us, it turns around and it's a boomerang back at them. When would you know, I'm sorry.
I mean, we're running out of time, and you post this. When might you make an announcement one way or the other? One way or the other.
Well, I think, when I feel that it's the right time, right now, it's, newdayforamerica.com. People will go on and look at it, newdayforamerica.com, and I'll make a decision, Sean, when I decide that at the end of the day that I can win, that I can decide that at the end of the day this is right for me, but obviously I'm far more aggressive than I was just a short year ago.
All right, John Casey, Governor of Ohio. That sounds like a yes.
Yes.
But I'm just my own honest interpretation of
yeah.
it. Good to see you, Governor.
Governor.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Thank you.
All right. Great couple of interviews. I love that. And I hate to break this to you. I'm sorry for the opening introduction. So I wish the speaker would work. Do this theme song and all that stuff. So you just had to trust me about that. But who knows? It can be civilized or what have you. But don't worry. Get the theme music, opening introduction, and theme music, whatever. So who knows? Anyways, don't forget to Facebook and follow LH Music, Facebook.com and Twitter.com. You know my username, LH Music Time, so it's time at the website. And by the way, I'm going to put a poll question. A question for you know who. This couple of interviews that I just interviewed with this one. And what you think about Peter Schweizer's book? And I will do some new poll question. That is, be surprised for tomorrow. So it's gonna be good, but who knows? Anyways, like I said, check my website at lhmusictimefactor.gmail.com. So it's TimeFactor page on Facebook as well. I gotta go. See you tomorrow, and don't forget Thursday, Grace University. We can do this at Grace University. My final closing TimeFactor video commentary thoughts with you know who. Thursday's newspapers. Hope good news is working. Trust me about that. And don't forget TimeFactor Weekend with Mumford and Sons for an all-new TimeFactor television show, and lots more for the weekend. Anyways, gotta go. LH Music is about to sign off with God's blessings, and I salute you, America. Take care. Bye for now. I wish this mouse was working. Thank you. Now I gotta go. Good night. I salute you, America.